back. It's Relationship, Romance, and Quarantine Podcast, aka Relationships, Romance, and Propaganda Podcast. I am film director Imani Shakur. This is the beautiful Rachel K. Burke. While you're on quarantine, pick up her books, Love Bites and Sound Bites, a rock and roll love story. Google these. Read them while you're sitting at home bored as hell like I am. You know what I mean? You know?
Are you on TikTok yet?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Yeah, I can't figure out a damn video to actually do though. I can't figure out a video to do. You know, my agent is like, well, you're not an actor, so you have to come up with something, because singers and actors are like Will Smith is on it,
it's
everybody, but I can't think of something to do on there.
Well, most people just do like dance stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
I know.
You know what I mean? So right now I'm just swiping through all the girls in bikinis, and
it's good. It's good to pass the time, though. It's really funny.
It is good to pass the time. It is good, man. Anyway, guys, I'm a film director. You know, Rachel is an author, actress, and we have the sexiest podcast in the universe. You know, check us out on YouTube, ISNT Group Digital. Subscribe and catch us where you get your podcast. We're everywhere. And thank you for those who's been following and stuff like that. We got something from the streaming thing the other day because we reached like so many thousand downloads. They sent us like this congratulations email and all that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And we have like 4.5 stars on iTunes, which is cool. Like almost 5 stars, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, people are listening. Thank you guys for listening. And yeah, we're gonna keep it going. I know last week we said we would talk about who pays on the first date, but the porn addiction thing kind of went long, so we decided to swap the show. So if you heard us last week, we said that, but we ended up doing the who pays on the first date this week. So you know what I mean, just so you're like, wait a minute, you said last week, switch to this week, all that good stuff. So yeah, last week that was a good episode about the porn addiction thing. It could be an issue. But I want to say real quick. I saw on Rachel's IG story the other day, guys, she has like these huge rolls of quarantine toilet paper. And she had this like Nairobi, like I don't know if it was a drill, Ryobi, I mean.
It's a drill.
Drill or something. She was winding it up. I don't know if she was making smaller rolls. So let's find out right now.
You know what's funny is that's like the first. I put that on my IG story a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find toilet paper anywhere, and the only ones I could find was on Walmart, and it said jumbo rolls.
Right.
Sure, whatever will ship, you know.
Right.
Week. So it shipped, and I get it, and it's like the restaurant size ones that are like this big. And I was like, oh, Jesus, what am I going to do?
I thought that was hilarious. Seeing you with the drill.
So I did a story like, you know, hey guys, like I ordered toilet paper, jumbo rolls. This is what I got, and it's like this thing. And so many people messaged me that they were laughing so hard, and so my friend Christina goes, "You got to put that on TikTok." And that's the only video that I've put on TikTok because we've done some of the dancing ones.
Yeah.
That's the only one on TikTok that like got a lot of views. Is like my toilet paper video. I'm
gonna have to find it. Yeah, TikTok is funny, man.
I know. Yeah. So my friend's husband, when I was in Arizona, he goes, "Oh, you know what I did?" Because they have the same thing. Because I noticed their regular toilet paper roll. It's all you can tell when someone rolls like onto a normal one because it's all, you know, it's not even.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, you know what I did was I stuck it on a drill," and I was like, oh, genius. Because in my head, I was thinking, what do I have that turns that can do this for me? I was literally rolling it by hand, and I'm like, this is exhausting.
You're like, good idea.
So I got home, and I was like, oh my God, this works.
That's so funny.
TP hack, guys.
That is hilarious. TP hack. Anyway, guys, after this quarantine is over, everybody's going to be going crazy. Everybody's been going on dates. And it's so funny because the girl I'm seeing right now, I told her, I said, I feel so strange. This is the first time that I've actually started seeing someone. I haven't been able to take you on a proper date. We've only hung out at my place. That's it.
I know. That's how
I said, I'm looking forward to taking you on a date. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I feel with this guy too. It's like, I don't even know what we are because we can't even go on a date.
Can't go on a date.
And like even the beaches down there are closed.
Yep, they're closed now. Yep.
There's been a couple of days where he was like, you know, should we like take a walk to the beach? And I was like, is it closed? And he goes, yeah, I think so. So it's like, we can't even do anything.
Yeah. It's just been, and we said the other day, like, we've just really spent a lot of quality time getting to know each other.
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
And that's all it's been. It's crazy.
But it's weird because after this is over, I'm like, is he going to want to go on a real date? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Right now we don't have to define it, right?
Right. Because you
can
can't. Yep. We went on one, but it was just as they said, okay, you can go to the restaurant, but it's spaced out.
Right.
And we went on one and it was spaced out. And it was just, it wasn't even a restaurant that we liked or anything. That's the only thing we've done. Yeah. So yeah, other than that, nothing. Just my place. That's it. You know what I mean?
Well, something.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, exactly. Anyway, guys, after this is over and you're back out on the dating scene, we're talking about today, who pays on the first date? And this is a loaded question that I'm going to have a lot to say about and some funny stories to tell. You know what I'm saying? Who should pay Rach on the first date?
The man. Always.
The man always. Well, that's how I'm taught. You know, my mother is like a Scorpio, super romantic, pretty much taught me everything about romance. And that's her thing. She'll tell me before I even say anything. In her Trinidadian accent, boy, you better pay when you go. So you know what I'm saying? That's how I was taught.
Good woman.
Right. So that's what I always try and do, and is always open to do and up to do. So that's pretty much the way I know it now. If I could say real quick, as the age of internet dating evolved, though, there were certain rules. So when you go on a first meet and greet, you know, guys are always taught to be like, hey, you know, let's go Dutch for the first date. I don't know you. I met you on an app. Let's just see what you see the thumbs down from Rachel for our listeners who listen to us and not watch. But yeah, that's and I've been in some situations like that. I have some stories to tell about that. You know, so I don't know. Some women are like, go ahead.
Well, I think if the guy doesn't want to pay for a whole date or whatever, you should either just like get coffee,
right,
or get like one drink. You know what I mean?
Right. Which I'll pay for if it's a meet and greet. I don't have no problem.
Right. Yeah. Because I think it sort of sets the tone for how your relationship is going to go.
Yeah.
You know, if it could, because if a guy, and I test guys, I'll offer to split it with them. And if they
see if they
take it, there's no second date. I won't go out with them again. Cause because I feel like that's sort of foreshadowing
something in the future. Yeah.
How they're going to treat you. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And if they're cheap. So,
right.
and I have a lot to say about this specifically when it comes to like divorced men, whose ex-wife have taken them to the cleaners. Because that's generally who has an issue paying on a first date. And I have a few stories. Some of them are not mine. I actually, I'll talk about this, but I was listening to a podcast where they talked about this last week. And it's like, it's funny because my stories are similar to their stories where it's all like it's a lot of divorced guys.
Got you.
Yeah. Cause you know, I think they feel, cause I think statistically, you know, divorced men, if they have an ex-wife who like didn't work and they felt like spent all their money and this and that, or like took all their money in the divorce, I think they want a woman in the next relationship that is not like their ex-wife. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So men will, I think, from what I've heard, will test women sometimes to see if they'll offer to pay, because they're trying for round two. They're trying to not get the gold digger. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. See, the funny thing is, I've been on a meet and greet after meeting someone on Bumble, and 5 seconds after we met, I kind of knew she would be worth. So it was planned as a drink. Okay. And I turned it into a dinner.
Guys do that. Yep.
That I paid for because I knew she was going to be cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? But even if it was just the drink, I still would have paid for it at the meet and greet. Yeah. Whether it's coffee or a glass of wine or just a drink, just to meet and see if we catch a vibe or not.
Yeah. And, but there are some guys too who are just like boys. Because the thing is, like, I want a man, right? Like, I want a
Yeah.
man who can hold his own, who's financially responsible.
Yeah.
And
And who'll sleep with you.
right. And and that's,
We
and
just
that's,
talking from the last
and
episode.
that's kind of like how this guy is. He's like, he does not have his act together. He's like
Yeah.
in between jobs,
Mm-hmm.
like, so that's why I can't really take him seriously as a boyfriend, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm going to be paying for everything.
Right.
When
Okay.
he had a drinking problem and like got into some trouble, like, he actually, when I first met him, he was dating an older woman. He's 36,
Mm-hmm.
he was dating a 46-year-old woman, and she like helped him get that apartment. And I was like, oh, that's why he dated her. Like, she was like
Mm-hmm.
a sugar mama. So, she was paying for everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the kind of relationship that I would want.
I got you.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like from the get-go, that's probably how it was with them. I think
Mm-hmm.
she was
Mm-hmm.
probably like, because she's very well off and
Mm-hmm.
older and everything. And so there are those guys, like my little brother's like that too. He's just like a struggling musician. So he dates all these women who are like older and have, single moms and
Who really
everything.
appreciate being with him, and
Yeah, so they'll pay
yeah.
for everything.
Right.
But
Right.
yes,
Right.
it's
Right.
not what I'm looking for.
Right.
Um,
No, I agree. I mean, and I met someone on Hinge not too long ago, and this was a nightmare pair on the first date story. So we did the meet and greet and had a couple of drinks, and you know, and I paid for the meet and greet. It was no big deal. We both had like 2 vodka sodas or something, and so we planned to meet up like a week later or so, like a week or 2 later. She came out, took her wine tasting and stuff. So she wanted to go have dinner before, right?
mhm.
Took her to this sushi place, Rach, and she was so excited to eat. It was a turn off. I mean, she was literally dancing in, Rach, she was literally dancing in her seat. You know what I'm saying? I swear, it was a turn off. And before we were finished at the sushi place, she was already talking about eating again later that night. I mean, it
Addicted to
was
food.
friggin' such a turnoff, and it was horrible. And like happened to be a sister, and nothing against Black women, but it just, the one time this has happened in years, happens to be a Black girl, and nothing against Black girls, but she happened to be a sister. I know a lot of solid sisters out there, but I have to say, guys, the other races, whether it's Hispanic or white, has not done this to me. It
Yeah.
had to be a sister. It was,
Well, at
it
least
was, Rach, it
at
was
least she wasn't
such,
heavy. Because if she was heavy and did that, you would have been like,
well, she wasn't as slim as I like either. She was
right.
just on the brink of my cutoff, like,
Okay.
of what I like and what I don't like. She was a little thicker than a Snicker, but not but not too much to where it was like, nah, Imani, you can't vibe with
Oh
this.
my God. Well, it's so funny.
And this was crazy. Let me finish.
Oh, yeah.
So and this was crazy. She was such on the vibe of like wanting to let me know that nothing was gonna happen that night.
Oh God.
Even though
Even though she ordered 5 desserts.
yeah, and ended up eating at friend's house later that night and all that. So we all go to Old Town, which is our little town here in Wine Country area. And before we even go to the club and stuff, she's already telling me that she's going night. So when we get back, I'm going night.
Okay.
And she kept saying, and Rach, it sounded so bad.
Like a 5-year-old.
Yes. Sounded like a friggin' 5-year-old.
I'm gonna get a McDonald's Happy Meal and then go night.
Yes. Like trying to make sure I know ain't nothing happening.
Right.
So we end up leaving the club in Old Town, come back. She climbed into my bed with all of her clothes on, which I don't like. Her jeans on that she was out in and everything.
It's just to make, too.
Yeah. And then gets up and she says, yeah, I'm going to get up real early and leave. I said, that's fine. Because dude, at sushi, I was already turned off.
Right.
I just went along with the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she slept in my belly, got up at 5 a.m. and left, and I acted like I was sleeping. I was like, just leave my place as soon as possible, please. You know what I'm saying? And she walked out the door, and I jumped up so happy
Yeah.
And she never heard from me again. And I think she knew too, and I never heard from her again.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she knew, I turned this guy off. It was obvious.
Maybe she just wanted a free meal. Maybe she wasn't that into you
Maybe.
either.
And she was cool, good looking lady. She was actually mixed. She was half black, half white.
Okay.
So if you saw her, you probably wouldn't know, but her vibe and energy was more on the black side, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she just, it was just, I was so turned off. Never heard from her again after that.
I know, because like when I was in Arizona, and a friend of mine was like, we have a friend who is heavy, and she has like a food addiction. Like it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like she's always talking about food. It's like a mental thing, I feel like. And like all she'll post on her Instagram is like pictures of food. And my friend is like, this is freaking disgusting. Like she has a problem. She's like, just shut up and eat your food. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see pictures of it. Like so she would be, I bet, so grossed out by that. Yeah. Like no, she's not into that.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly had never seen that before. Like someone get that excited about food.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not done with the first meal, asking about the second meal already. I'm like, are you serious?
I know.
And guys, sorry, listening, men and women who are listening, this is one of those dates that I wish I had not paid for. You know what I'm saying? I wish I said, look, you know what? This is our second time seeing each other. Let's go Dutch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because it would have ended up the same way anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know.
You know what I mean? It would have ended up the same way anyway.
Yeah. So I discovered, have you heard of Brittany Ferland? She's Tommy Lee's wife. She has a podcast called Worst First.
I'm gonna write it down though.
Okay. So my friend just mentioned her to me. So she basically has people on her podcast, like famous actors, actresses.
Yeah.
And they'll tell their, like worst stories as far as like a first date.
First dates, yeah.
Yeah. So she told a story that made me think of like something that had happened to me. But basically she went on this date when she was like in her 20s. She was young with this hot doctor, and he was like, good looking doctor, like too good to be true. He takes her to this super expensive restaurant, and he's like, order whatever you want. So, they're getting bottles of champagne, 5-course meals, desserts, the whole nine. And at the end of the day, the bill comes and it's like $2,000. I mean, like crazy bill.
Yeah.
And the guy starts going like this, like checking his pockets, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but I forgot my wallet. Would you mind picking up the check? And she's like, I'm like 20 something. I don't have $2,000 at this time. Right.
Yeah.
So she used like her emergency credit card that her dad had given her to pay for this meal. And this is what cracks me up. Cause like I heard a couple of these stories on her podcast this week, and all these idiot girls are like picking up the bill, and it's like, I would have been like, no, sorry, bro. I don't got $2,000. But I think when you're in your 20s and you're so enamored by like a handsome guy, you'll just, you want to do whatever. Right. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'll get the next one, this and that. So she uses her emergency card, pays it. He calls her when she gets home, and he goes, you're not going to believe this. I just got pulled over, because they'd been drinking like bottles of champagne. And she goes, oh my God, are you okay? And he goes, oh yeah, no, it's fine. I just, I pulled up my wallet and showed them I was a doctor. And she's like, you pulled out
Are you serious?
You pulled out your what? And he realized at that moment what he had just said. And he was silent for like a good 30 seconds.
Wow.
And finally he goes, I'm so sorry. I just went through a divorce, and my ex-wife like took me to the cleaners. So I want to make sure from now on that women aren't in it
just for that.
For the money. So he said, I always make them pay first. But here's what I think is messed up about the story.
Okay.
So she said to him, well, that's not cool. I didn't have that money. She goes, I expect you to at least split that with me. Gave him her address. He never paid her back for it, and she never heard from him again. So, because here's the thing, like if you want to make sure a woman isn't in it for the money, that's fine. But you don't rack up a $2,000 bill.
Definitely
you know
not.
what I mean? Like
he racked it up, or she racked it up? He racked it up.
he was like, order whatever you want, order in bottles of champagne,
Interesting.
go to
Yeah.
a really expensive restaurant. So it's like you can still make sure that they're not into it for the money and take them to a normal restaurant, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's like, I kind of think this guy, yeah, he's doing that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that was it was so messed up. So
That's
and
horrible. And if I could add something to that, this is a
please,
nice segue to this next story. So what I was
oh,
going to
good,
tell the listeners
yeah,
was that, you know, if I meet someone in person, I treat it differently if I meet them on an app. You know, if I meet you on an app and you do want to go out to eat for our first date, I'm a really stand-up guy. I have money, but I'm definitely going to say, listen, I don't know you, so I'm just letting you know up front, it's going to be Dutch. That's just who that's just what I've learned the rules to be on the dating apps, right?
okay,
But if
okay,
I meet you in person, it's completely different. I'll meet you at the winery, at the grocery store, wherever I meet you. And we
yeah,
go on a first date, I'm definitely going to pay.
right,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I meet one of my exes at one of the wineries. We end up in almost a year relationship. So on our first date, this is a funny story similar to what you just said.
mm-hmm.
Now,
No,
I'm a film director. She's a dentist. She has money. You know what I mean? You know, blah, blah, blah. We go to this restaurant in Old Town for our first date after us meeting.
mm-hmm.
The bill comes. I go to pay it. They don't accept American Express.
Oh, and that's all you have?
And that's all I had. It was so good. And I have other credit cards, but that dad just didn't bring them. You know, yeah, because I said, you know, today I'll just grab my Amex. I'm running out. Everyone takes American Express.
Right,
I'm not,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I felt so stupid. And
Oh no,
so similar story, but a different circumstance, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I know everybody at that public house
okay,
in Temecula, and they're like, Monty, man, we just don't take Amex. I said, I never knew that. Like, I didn't know you didn't take Amex. And she was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. It was the most crazy, embarrassing situation I'd ever been in that really wasn't my fault. So she
right,
understood.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
like, look, it's no big deal. I get it. You didn't know they take Amex, and that's all you buy. And that's literally all I brought for some
right.
strange reason. And she had to end up paying for it. And of course, we ended up in an almost year-long relationship, and I paid her back for that a million times over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it wasn't no big deal, but I was like, oh my God.
it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, but what if she would have thought, oh, he probably knew they didn't take Amex? What if he did that on purpose?
Well, at
And
least,
thank God she
but
didn't
at
think
least,
that.
no, because at least you had a card, right?
Right,
I think it's different if like you didn't bring a wallet at all. It's like, oh,
right.
sorry, or like it gets declined or something. You know,
Right.
that's a different situation.
Right. But I
I
was like, you
know.
got to be, who doesn't take Amex? Are you serious?
I know. Like I know.
uh,
And there are places in Cape Cod where I'm from too. There's still cash only. It's like the Twilight Zone. It's like, guys, it's 2020. I mean, let's get
mm-hmm.
with it.
Let's
Yeah,
get with the program here, people.
right. Because I could see that
Yeah.
happening, right? If you didn't have cash either, and you're like, what do you mean you only take
Yeah.
you only take cash?
Yeah. But I would never not pay it. She was so cool about it. She was like, you
Yeah,
know what? No big deal. Just get me next time. I got it.
yeah.
It
I
just
think
felt weird though, having her pay for the first date. It felt
I
so
know,
weird.
but I think if you have a legit card and that happens
Yeah.
in front of you, I mean, that's okay. You know,
Right.
I think
Now I always take if I have my Amex, that taught me. Now always take another one.
yeah.
Always take it. So now I
Same,
always take
same.
another one.
I always take my debit card and one credit card. Like if I'm just
Yeah.
bringing like a little to-go purse.
Right. You
Um,
have to, man.
mhm.
You have to.
So when I first moved to California, I went to. Do you remember Jodie Sweetin from Full House? She played like the Stephanie, the middle daughter.
I could look her up real quick.
Okay, no, it doesn't matter. It's just
Okay.
so we were at her 30th.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at her 30th birthday in Hollywood.
Okay.
A friend of mine was friends with her husband.
Okay.
And it's kind of like this divey bar. Her husband was like in a band, and all the guys from Full House were actually there, and they were always playing in this band with her husband. It was really funny.
Yeah.
So we're about to leave, and I see this like hot guy from across the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking at me, and I'm about to leave, so I wave. We did quick introductions. So
Mm-hmm.
he had actually just moved to LA from New Zealand, and he had got a part in Spartacus. He's a really good actor, actually. I
Mm-hmm.
looked up his reel,
Mm-hmm.
but he played like one of the crazy guys in Spartacus. So that was why he moved out, because he got a part in this TV show.
Yeah.
So he asks me on a date, and he comes to Santa Monica. But I met him real quick, right? It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
you're hot, cool, let's go out. So
Yeah.
he texted me and he was like, do you want to get sushi? And I said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, come to Santa Monica. I know a few places, because Sushi Roku, like right down near
Yep.
the station.
Yep.
So I
Love
was like,
sushi Roku.
yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be like a cool date spot, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's an
Yeah.
actor. I'm thinking he's gonna want, something kind of
Yeah.
sceney.
Little swanky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to my apartment, and he's insane. Like I didn't know he was a weirdo, because I met him for 2 seconds and he was hot. He walks into my apartment, and I have like those little like Christmas lights up. I get like my incense, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
my hippie stuff. And he's like, oh, you're a natural witch. And I was like, excuse me?
Natural witch.
He says, I can tell by your eyes. You have powers. Do you ever feel like you have powers? I'm like, not really. So he says,
Oh my God.
he says, you were a lynx. So a lynx is one of those big cats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you were a cat in a past life. Like, I can tell by your eyes. He's like, can I take a picture of your eyes? I'm like,
Oh my God.
okay. He shows me a picture of this other girl he knows. He's like, she was a lynx too. I'm like, sure she was.
Exactly. I hear you, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have like my necklaces hanging on the wall
Yeah.
with like those like big like stones, just like
Mm-hmm.
fake hippie
Mm-hmm.
jewelry. And he's like, what stone is this? I'm like, Forever 21. Like,
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
bananas. So we start driving to Sushi Roku,
Mm-hmm.
and he's mumbling numbers to himself. He's like, he's going 42, 58, 64. Remember this, 64. And I'm like, okay. Doesn't explain, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, we're in for a long night.
Yeah. Sorry, this is funny.
Dude, we like, oh my God, I don't know. It's just like 64. Like, is that the number of times you're going to stab me after
Right,
the day is over?
right.
You lunatic.
Right.
So we get to Sushi Roku, and he's like, oh, you brought me to like a fancy sushi place? I'm like, I guess he wanted to go to like a dive
Yeah.
sushi place. I mean, I kind of met him at a divey bar, because like
Mhm.
Jodie Sweeten's husband was Jewish, so it was one of those like dive bars on Fairfax. You know what I mean? So I don't think he was planning on like an expensive place. I'm thinking like he's an actor, he's going to want to go to a nice place.
Yeah.
So we have this nice expensive dinner. Lots of sushi, lots of drinks. The bill comes, and his card gets declined, and I have to pay for it.
Oh my goodness.
And this bill is like hundreds of dollars. And I've just moved here. I'm in my 20s. I'm broke. Like, I have no money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I did the same thing as these other girls did. It's like, I like put it on a credit card.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's got the charming New Zealand accent. I am so sorry. I will get this one. I promise I will get you the next time.
Next time. What if it was not a next time?
Never heard from him again. And in my mind, I was like, I will go out with him a second time, even though he's insane, just to get that money back, right?
Yeah,
Get
right.
a second meal. Never heard from him again. And now I'm thinking, okay, he just moved to LA. He actually was legit on the show. I looked him up. But I'm thinking maybe he just moved there and had no money and kind of planned that. Like,
probably.
I felt so taken advantage of. Like, I felt like he was lining up dates with girls because he's good looking to pay his bills until he got his first acting check,
Yeah. Probably.
So I think there are people that do that. Like, have you ever had a girl that I'm sure, like, that you felt like was just using you as like a meal ticket?
That's the note I just wrote down. I was about to say, men hate when, and you kind of can tell because they'll say it in a certain way. Yeah, we can get to, why don't we grab dinner?
Right.
And men always say, so are we going Dutch? Are you paying for it? Like, when women suggest dinner.
Yeah, I would never suggest it. And I think that's why I expect the guy to pay. Because if you ask me out to dinner,
yep,
I expect you to pay.
I agree.
But I'm the same though in return. Like this is kind of my rule in relationships. Like if I invite you to a concert, I'm going to get the tickets, right? Because I invited you. So that's kind of my rule. Or even like if I want to go away for the weekend with my boyfriend, like I'll grab the hotel. Why don't you grab the dinner? If it's my idea, I'll pay. So that makes sense.
To me, it's just a turn off. Like a friend of mine wanted to hang out that I used to date decades ago, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He wanted to hang out. And the reason why I didn't meet up with her, because the first thing she suggested was dinner.
Yeah.
And I looked at the place up that she suggested, and it was this expensive place.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was obvious she just wanted to get a meal.
Right. Right.
So, and I still haven't seen her because of that.
Yeah.
To me, it's just a turn off. Don't suggest dinner to me.
I know.
Let me say, hey, let's go grab some dinner or something.
It's funny. Well, two things. One, it's like, what if you're meeting someone for the first time, I don't really want to do dinner because what if I don't like you? That's going to be a long dinner. You know what I mean? And it's funny, like the celebrity I told you I had a thing with.
Yeah.
He initially asked me to go out to dinner with him in Malibu. And I'm thinking, and I was like, I don't really want to go out to dinner. You know, I just want to fulfill my celebrity fantasy and like have our alone time. But my friend Charlie is like, he's super cheap. And he was like, you didn't want to go out to dinner? Like you didn't want a nice meal? And I was like, no, I can afford my own nice meal, you know?
Right. Exactly.
I know it's interesting. No, I want to do like, I'd want to do a drink on a first date because it kind of loosens up the vibe, right?
Yeah.
And then if you
to me, only if I meet you on an app. If I meet you in person, I don't mind. Taking you to dinner on a first date.
Right, because you already know you like them.
An app is exactly. You met in person. You had the meet and greet already.
Yeah.
You guys are vibing. You know you're attracted to each other. You like the vibe. That's why you exchange numbers. Let's like go on a date.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah. So that's good. If I meet you on an app though, I do just want to have a drink or something, have coffee or, or a glass of milk or something.
The good drink is, I think one drink is good. And then if you kind of like them, then 2 drinks and then maybe, you know, and then if they want to switch it to dinner, great.
Right.
That's usually what happens is like, we'll get a drink and then the guy's like, so are you hungry?
Right.
Like usually they work, you know, usually you kind of work that in, they work that into the conversation.
That's how you do it if you like somebody.
And also too, like, I don't know if I want to eat in front of somebody right away too. Cause then it's and especially like sushi, you're like, you get the spicy tuna breath, you're like kissing someone after a date.
Guys don't care about that. We honestly don't care about that.
I cared though. I like made out with a guy after a first date and I kind of wasn't that into him anyways, but he's really cute. But it was like, sound like tuna. No.
Women are self-conscious about that, huh?
Yeah, and like just getting stuff on my, like, what if I have stuff on my teeth? Like
we do not care. If we think you're hot, we'll kiss you, and we do not care. I'm just being honest, we don't. And it's something that we talk about amongst men. We honestly don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, I know women do because you guys are taught to, you know, keep yourself together. Always have that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so like that. I know because this like the next morning after like this guy that I've been seeing, he like I felt like I had something in my nose and I kept doing this, and he was like, do this, and he told me, and I was like, thank you so much for telling me that because I would have been so embarrassed like if I had gone to the bathroom afterwards and like had something in my nose the whole time. So I have one more funny story from that girl's podcast this week. She had people write in. I feel like we should do this somehow, like have people like send us their stories or something, because I was laughing so hard, like of just like their worst first dates, right? So people, she's got like millions of followers on Instagram, so I think people were just like DMing her their stories.
Right.
The first one was so good, it was the best. So she, like this girl had been chatting with this guy for weeks. And he says, all right, like, let's go to the beach. So she texts him. She's like, I'm at the beach. And she goes, I see this guy walking to my car and he's pushing a stroller and has 2 kids with him. And she's like, oh no, like, no, this can't be the guy. It was the guy. So not only did he not mention to her that he had 3 children, but he also brought the 3 children to their first date.
Are you serious?
And so she's like so taken aback. So she says, you know, long story short, I end up pushing the stroller around the beach for this,
got to be kidding me.
For this date. She says, women are coming up to me complimenting me on my baby, right? It's not my baby.
Yeah.
But so this is the best part. So finally, the kids are hungry. So the guy's like, do you want to go grab lunch?
Yeah.
So they go out to lunch. At the end of the lunch, the guy says to her, he says, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but would you mind picking up the bill? Like, it's
Are
just
you serious?
those times have just been really tough, like with my divorce and everything."
Yeah.
And this idiot, she pays the bill. Like this,
You've got to be kidding me.
and this is so crazy because like all of these stories, like Brittany's story, this girl's story, my story, it's like we all end up paying the bill. Like I feel like women in their 20s, I feel like men probably know what women they can do this to, right?
Yeah, that's
crazy.
crazy.
If you're vulnerable and you're in your 20s, like you're just gonna do it. But like Brittany was like, this guy's a genius. He's probably lining up dates for every week to feed his kids.
Oh, of course.
You know?
how do you? I just don't understand how you even bring yourself to do that.
I know.
Just imagine me bringing Layla, my daughter, to a date with me and having the girl pay for me and Layla.
Right.
How do God?
And now imagine doing that. Now imagine doing that 5 days a week.
I'm speechless. I just don't know how people bring themselves to do stuff like that.
And bringing your kid around all these different women and everything.
And
like
you feel okay about that?
Right. That's free. I mean, and it's great. And women, I'm sure, do this too. It's like if they lose their job, you can just go line up a different online date every night of the week.
Of course you can. Especially if it's hot. Of course you can.
Right. And just swipe on like the guys that aren't that hot. They're gonna buy you a nice meal.
They're gonna buy you a meal every time.
You could because the apps show you what they do for work. Like lawyer, yes. Doctor, yes. You swipe on those ones.
Yep. You end up getting
totally. You could even play it as drinks, and then like after your first drink, be like, you know, are you hungry? Let's appetizer or something. You know.
And women, man, the women that overtly do that, it just trips me out. I'm too smart for that.
Right.
You know, and on the other side of it, I think it sucks that men are doing that to women like that. That's horrible.
I know. It's crazy.
Horrible.
But think of how many nerdy guys that have money that would probably fall for that.
Oh, of course. I know a few that would. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, this pretty girl wants to go out with me.
Yep.
You know, and it's like they're just like a sucker.
Yep. And they're gullible and they go for it.
Yeah, because like my ex, you know, because he was cheap and he said like his ex-wife didn't work and would spend all his money. And so he said to me that, you know, he hated going on dates because he hated paying for all these women.
Yeah.
And it's such a, like looking back, it's such a telltale sign for me now because he never treated me well. He never bought me stuff, like never wanted to spend money on me. And it's fine because, you know, I'm self-sufficient. I can afford my own things. It's just the principle of it, right? Like I want a guy who's going to treat me nice.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
So he told me he would only meet girls for coffee. Like he wouldn't even do drinks. For me, that's like, oh, that's I don't know. That's a dead giveaway. So we got in a fight once and and I brought up all these things I had an issue with. The one thing that he brought up that he had an issue with me about was that I never offered to pay for our dates. Imani, he made like $300,000 a year. I mean, he made at least 3 times more than what I did. Right. And it's like, cause I can afford it, but it's just like, you make so much more than me.
Yeah,
and
why not?
You're the man. And trust me, we were not going to nice places in Anaheim Hills. It's literally all chain restaurants. It's like the Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, and it's like he wasn't a big drinker, so it's not like we're getting bottles or anything. It's like really you can't pick up like a $40 dinner. Like, come on.
Like, come on. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I
completely agree.
So I think that's why I say that about the divorce guys is I think they want the opposite of their ex-wife. So they just want someone that can like support themselves and isn't going to rely on them like financially at all. But I think some of them take it a little too far.
And that's their way of kind of trying to test it out and see. And
yeah. It's like round 2. They don't want a girl taking any of their money, but I don't know. It's like you can still get a quality girl that is self-sufficient.
Of course you can, yeah. And I've never had a problem with that. Man, I'm divorced. I've never had a problem with that or had that perception or, you know what I mean?
But I don't think, you've never complained to me that either of your ex-wives like tried to like take all your money or everything,
weren't
right?
like that at
So I
all.
think that's why. I think if you had like
Yeah,
a horrible divorce,
that's true. I
you
got
know,
lucky in that respect. Yeah.
yeah, maybe you'd
Hmm.
see things differently, but maybe not. Hopefully
Maybe
not.
not. Yeah, type of person I am, I wouldn't base that on my new thing. I'll try to
Yeah,
unpack that baggage before you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That's what I would try and do. You know, but
yeah.
everybody's different. I mean, to me, if it's to me, men, if you feel like she's purposely trying to take advantage of you and
Mhm.
get a free meal, I would say don't do it. And
Right.
and I still say if you're on a dating app, tread lightly, play it by ear. Maybe the meet and greet does turn into you paying for a dinner and you feel good about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I would start off as just a drink, and you can afford to do a drink. We're like men. If
Yeah.
you have a meet greet, meet someone on an app, pay for
Yeah.
the drink, guys.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to ask a girl out to dinner, right? Because I think
Right.
a lot of guys
I
still have
have
that
to.
old school mentality of
Yep.
like first date is like dinner.
Yep.
But yeah, you can totally just get a drink. Like I would actually prefer that as a woman. But
Yeah.
just know, like if you ask a woman out to dinner, you should pay because that was your idea,
Yeah.
right?
I agree. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
If the woman brings it up, then it's okay
Yeah. I
to
completely agree.
mention the
And if I'm in a relationship and she brings it up, I still don't expect her to pay.
right.
She's like, babe, let's do dinner tonight somewhere. I still expect to pay.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
True.
if she wants to, and that's all good too.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why I say when I'm in relationships, I'll offer to pay. Yeah, I like them to pay for the meals. Like that's nice.
Hmm.
I will do it if it's like their birthday or
Right.
something. If
Stuff
I'm
like
like,
that.
babe, I want to take you out for your birthday, stuff like that. Or if I want to go to a
Hmm.
concert, like something that's my idea, I'll do it.
Hmm. You'll do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
So I hope is that it, Rach?
That's it.
Cool, cool. So I hope you guys, got some ideas and the do's and don'ts and dating and internet dating and when to pay and when not to pay and don't have them dancing on you like a girl did me. And then after that, she goes night night, as she
You're
kept
like,
saying.
you're like, girl, when's the last time you've eaten? When's the
Exactly.
last time you had a nice
Exactly.
meal?
Exactly, man.
Like
Exactly.
she never seen food before.
Right, right, right. Hopefully we shed some light, man. If you guys have some fun stories to share about this, put them in the comments below. You know what I mean? Or send
Yeah.
us an email and
Oh, yeah. Email
yeah,
if you guys have good dating stories
yeah,
that you want
email
us to
us.
read or you have advice. Yeah, either send them to rptalktruth@gmail or like DM us on Instagram because I'd
Yes,
love to read some of those too. Like it was
yes.
such a funny episode I
And we'll put them on
watched.
air. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be
so
fun.
good. Yeah.
That'll be fun. Yeah, guys. So don't forget, tell us your stories. I know you guys have some funny stories, probably worse than the
Mhm.
stuff we said today.
Yeah, worst dates.
The worst dates. So it's relationships, romance, and quarantine
Mhm.
propaganda podcast. You know what I mean?
Imani cracks himself up every time.
I hope we're entertaining you guys while you're at home, and we'll bring it back to you guys, next Monday. You know what I mean? It's Imani Shakur and the beautiful, sexy that can't get some Rachel
Oh,
K. Burke. That's hard to
man.
get some. Hopefully they'll promote this
I
episode just
gotta, I
because I
gotta fight.
said that.
I know. I gotta fight for my right to party.
Exactly. You have to, and it's a shame. You know what I mean? All right, Rach. I'll see you virtually next week. And guys, don't forget to follow us
Okay.
on social media, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, ISENT Group Digital. Okay.
Okay.
I'll see you next week. Wear your mask.
Wash
Stay
your hands.
home. Yeah, today I went shopping for the whole week because they said to try to stay home for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the one thing I try to do is, because I always eat organic and I eat a lot of seafood, so I usually go shopping every day. So because they said that today, I went shopping this morning, like at 11. Everything was almost gone already.
Well, this is another reason I went to Arizona because there are lines to get into the grocery stores here. There are not in Arizona. They actually locked down like a couple days after I got there.
Interesting.
But it's funny because one of the friends, I stay with two friends, one of them, they locked down the entire condo pool. Is your pool locked down?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All that stuff's been like down here.
Right.
Gym, everything.
But it wasn't when I first got there. So we had a few good pool days of laying out,
Got
and
you.
then all of a sudden they locked it.
Yeah.
But the grocery stores were no lines. So I went there and I stocked up on like my favorite like seltzer waters.
Serious, yeah.
Because I can't even get them delivery at Ralph's, like they're all gone. So
Right.
I packed my car with like LaCroix and all these like flavored seltzers.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. Yeah,
And like the vegan meat and stuff too. I couldn't,
Yeah.
like some of my favorites I couldn't get here. So yeah, I
Yeah.
stocked up on some stuff there, which was good. While there's no lines, taking advantage.
Yeah, so I'm stuck in the house I didn't get 2 weeks worth. I got 1 week's worth. So I have to go back next Sunday.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'll probably run out.
I'll be stuck in the house all week. Maybe go for a walk out here if I have to. But
bored in the house.
Anyway, stay exactly. I'm bored. Yeah, I love those TikToks, the bored TikToks.
So good, I know.
It's so good, so good. Anyway, keep safe. Keep your mask on if you go out. Stay quarantined, and I'll see you next week.
I guess.
All right, bye. Peace. Bye.